Welcome to the Big Me Kickoff. I'm your host, Kevin Noon. It is Monday, August 22nd. Football is here. Now, not necessarily for the Buckeyes who start on the traditional week one, but 0 week is here. And we're really excited to welcome college football back. I want to welcome you to the show. Again, this is the Big Me Kickoff here at Buckeye Huddle. Just in case you didn't know, we have launched our website last week. Give us a look. All of the notes are down below, 34 cents a day. Get on board. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. Everybody get on board. It's going to be a big season for Ohio State. We want everybody to join us here on Buckeye Huddle. Again, all the notes are below. Join us. I promise you'll like it. Give us a month. See what's going on. We got so much coming up with Notre Dame, CJ Stroud trying to sit there and move up higher in terms of maybe winning the Heisman. A lot going on. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, don't miss a single thing. If you're listening to the podcast, write us a 5-star review. It helps us so much. And now that we got some of that housekeeping out of the way, let's kind of get into the show. I got a lot of feedback last week that, a couple of people were like, hey, we want more analysis. We don't want as much about knowing about the media deals and stuff like that. And I get it. I appreciate that y'all like my analysis of what I talk about. It makes me feel important. It makes me feel smart. I've been married a long time, so my wife doesn't let me feel either of those, if we're being completely honest. She gets kind of tired when we go out and somebody finds out what I do for a living, and then the conversation dovetails into Ohio State football. But that's what I'm here for. That's how I put food on the table. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to talk about Ohio State football. But we're gonna veer for a second here, and we're gonna talk about 0 week because that's timely. I mean, yeah, we could talk about it later this week, but there's going to be so much more going on. If you want to catch me talking to Ryan Day today, if you want to catch me talking to Jim Knowles today, I'm going to be appearing on Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning with Tom Orr here on this same channel. And we will be talking about plenty of that. So sometimes I have to try and keep the shows a little separate when I'm on one show and I'm hosting my own show. We don't want a carbon copy. I mean, that's no fun. So I want to talk to you a little bit about 0 week, and we'll see what kind of time we have left at the end if we can kind of get into some other topics. But who's going to be watching 0 week? I know I'm going to be watching 0 week. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, like 11 games involving Division 1A FBS teams, I guess. I mean, at least one. There's some crossover to where some people are playing FCS teams. Obviously, the games that I'm most interested in, Nebraska versus Northwestern, which will be taking place in Ireland, Dublin to be exact, not Dublin, Ohio, Dublin, Ireland. Wouldn't it be something if they're just going to play it at Kaufman? But no, they're going across the pond. And then there's a big, then you've got Illinois playing, hosting Wyoming. So, that one's not a head-to-head Big Ten game, but, Nebraska Northwestern is. And this is a carryover from, I guess, 20. I think they were supposed to do it, or maybe it was 21. Just because of where the world was at, they decided not to go across the pond. But there are now some of my buddies who cover Nebraska are getting ready, to head to Ireland. That's a lot of fun. That's more fun than going to Champaign-Urbana or Iowa City or hell, Columbus, Ohio, even at that point. I mean, I'd love to be able to cover a game there. But are you going to be watching that game? Nebraska, it's a team that every single year I seem to buy into way too much. They can't be down for that long. I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to go out and have a 10-2 season, but they can't be down for that long. They got some dudes on their roster. I mean, Scott Frost is supposed to be a pretty good coach. And then, of course, they go 3-9 last year. And we know they were the best 3-win team in the history of college football. Say it all with me. Repeat it again. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're a 3-win team. And that's not going to fly. AD Trev Alberts is not going to be able to look at himself and look at the alumni and everything else and be like, well, we're progressing. We went 5-7 this year. So how badly does Scott Frost need this game? What is Nebraska going to look like without Adrian Martinez? Martinez transferred to K-State. So, and I know I've said this in other shows, and I'm not, I mean, I love the people who do watch every show, and they're like, well, we've heard you say this, but is Adrian Martinez, is he going to show at K-State that it was Nebraska holding him back? Is Nebraska going to show that it was Adrian Martinez holding Nebraska back? Is it going to be a little bit of both? Is it going to be neither? I'm really interested to see what this Nebraska offense looks like, post Adrian Martinez. They go out to Pitt, bring in Mark Whipple to be the new OC. I think he's very good at his job. Sometimes, though, you can sit there and give a chef, fast food to work with, and, he's going to do what he can, but it's still kind of fast food. So, does Nebraska have a full pantry, or is it a half stock pantry, or is it worse? And then we have Northwestern on the other side, and Northwestern, generally in even years, is pretty good, at least in the last couple years. This isn't, something that goes back, a decade or anything like that. But you look at Nebraska or Northwestern, the couple times they've gone to the Big Ten championship game, that's been in even years. They are pretty thin. They're pretty thin. I mean, they've got a fantastic left tackle. I really like Evan Hull. I think he rushed for 1,009 yards last season. I think he can be pretty good. Not so sure about quarterback. I'm not so sure about receiver. I mean, they're coming off of a horrible defensive effort last year. Mike Hankwitz retired the year before, so they had to make some changes on defense with the retirement, and it didn't work. Pat Fitzgerald, all Big Ten, All-American linebacker, has to be killing him that his defense was not very good last year at all. So how is that going to look? I mean, with a name like Pat Fitzgerald, you should probably do pretty well in Ireland, you would think. So who needs this game more? Who needs it more? I mean, I think that in a lot of ways, I think Nebraska needs it more. Pat Fitzgerald isn't going anywhere. And that doesn't mean he doesn't want to win. That doesn't mean Northwestern doesn't want to win. I just think that Nebraska is going to feel more pressure. Remember, Nebraska has Oklahoma coming up. Nobody's doing Nebraska any favors in terms of just how their early schedule is. They don't get a lot of time to screw around and be like, oh, well, all right, now we can go and see the Cliffs of Dover or what. They got to get back and get ready for another game. And then I think it's week 3 that they play Oklahoma. And that's a pretty tight turnaround for the Huskers. So I'll be keeping an eye on that one. That's not the first game of the day. Austin Peay and Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky loses some things. I mean, they lose Bailey Zapp, their quarterback. They lose Mitchell Tinsley to Penn State by way of the portal. We got Idaho State and UNLV at 3:30. I'm not really that interested in that one. UConn at Utah State at 4. Not really interested in that one. At 4, these times are Eastern. We've got Wyoming at Illinois. Now, I've got some interest in that one. For all the fanfare that we had talking about Bret Bielema going back to the Big Ten and going to Illinois, I never really thought about Illinois at all last year. I'm not saying that on other years that I do. It's not, they're not a team that necessarily jumps off the page to me. But what is this going to look like? This is a home game for Illinois against a group of 5 team. Now, if you come out and you lay an egg here, it could be a really long year. If you win the game, I don't know how much you're going to gain there. Well, you're supposed to win the game. I don't know what the line is. I guess I could look it up, but it's not really that important to me. But that game's going to be on BTN. Just kind of going through the schedule. Duquesne is at Florida State. People are like, well, that's just please remember that. What was it? Jacksonville State beat Florida State, and it's same kind of situation. Is Florida State, turning it around under Mike Norvell? I don't know. That offensive line has been so bad for such a long time. So I don't know there. You got Charlotte and FAU at 7. You got Florida A&M and North Carolina at 8:15. And then we get really into like the night session, North Texas at UTEP, Vandy at Hawaii, and Nevada at New Mexico State. So, it's not necessarily the greatest slate of games, but it's 0 week. This isn't like it's the, this is the Labor Day weekend and that you're going to have games on Saturday and Sunday and Monday or whatever. That's not what's going on here. This is just, 22 teams getting started early. And it gives us a little warm up. So how excited are you for it? I mean, I'm excited-ish. I really kind of thought going in that I was going to be like, well, I'm going to watch football all day. Told my wife, just go out and go do what you're going to do. Please don't spend any money, but go out and do what you're going to do. I'm going to sit around and play football, or I'm going to watch football all day. Now I'm not so sure. I mean, I know I'm going to watch that 12:30 game. I mean, I'm absolutely going to watch that. I'll watch at least a half of the Wyoming Illinois game at 4. So I mean, that'll get me to what, 5:30, maybe 6, depending on how competitive it is. I mean, I think it'll be pretty competitive. I mean, I don't know a lot about Wyoming this year. I think they lost a lot. Certainly don't know a lot about Illinois. I mean, I've done some research in terms of like conference pieces. I've been running my best of the Big Ten over at Buckeye Huddle. Once again, buckeyehuddle.com. Check us out. Look at the notes below. Be sure to sign up. 34 cents a day. So I don't know what to make of that game. But then, once we get through that game, everything else, you got 2 games on ACC Net, 2 games on CBS Sports Network, a game on Stadium, which is online, I guess, and then something on Flow Sports. I don't get CBS Sports Net. I mean, I have access to it, but I don't want to upgrade a channel, to another package just to see Charlotte FAU and Vandy Hawaii. And I've been getting to bed early anyway. I'm really tired. I mean, I guess I'm showing my age these days. I'm generally ready for bed by 11. So I'm not that excited about that. I'm not going to watch a game online. I don't really care that much. I mean, you put Ohio State somebody on, then okay, I'm going to watch it online. That's what I got to do. That's the job. Put an SEC team online. Maybe I'll watch it. I mean, unless it's like Vandy, Missouri, I wouldn't care that much there. And then Flow Sports, I think of Flow. I mean, I think of, wrestling coverage. And I don't know if that's that or if there's another Flow Sport. So not really that excited about it. But what about you? I mean, I always got to ask you guys, again, you guys are the ones who make this all possible. You're watching, you're clicking, the thumbs ups we get, the 5-star reviews, all of that helps. So I kind of defer to you guys. But, I digress. We're 12 minutes in. I want to go about 20 on the show. So let's kind of get back into, I said I wasn't going to talk so much about Ryan Day and, Jim Knowles. Well, things change. Ryan Day really seemed dialed in today. We got him at 11 instead of 11:30. I think it was like, okay, well, I know I have to do these media responsibilities and then I want to be done. So he came in at 11 and we got him for about a half hour. We're not going to learn a great deal about the team per se. I mean, coaches are very, particular creatures. They like to keep things close to the vest, but it sounds like, some of the depth concerns at corner, at least if you take things at face value, Ohio State should be in pretty good shape physically going into this game. Now, we also did learn something that, had been whispered around on the internet, that Cam Babbs had a setback. Doesn't sound like it's going to be a season-long setback. They hope to have him back in a couple of weeks. I certainly have heard a couple of weeks before and seen it drag on much longer. But, you got to take it at face value for now. And, maybe by the time Big Ten season starts, which will be after the first 3 weeks when they open with Wisconsin for Big Ten play, maybe Cam will be back by then. Maybe the first road game. We'll see at that point. But, you got to feel for the kid. He gets a captaincy, he gets the Block O jersey, and then just has another setback. But it would be irresponsible to rush him back at this point, just based on some of the health things that have gone on for ACL injuries. And I'm not going to say it's this or that he's dealing with at this point, but he certainly has had his issues with the health. So, you don't want to rush him back. I mean, he wants nothing more than to get out there and to make some plays. I mean, on a career of where he has just been injured so much, I'm sure he would be willing to give so much to be able to get out there and be impactful. But you got to be fair to the kid. I mean, at some point, he's got to have a decent quality of life. And I know that knee surgeries have come a long way. And, at some point, things that just, you try to medically correct them and they don't get corrected. I mean, they get corrected and you just have a propensity for things to happen. And it just seems that he has a propensity for things to happen to his knees at least 4 times. So I mean, you got to feel terrible for the kid with that. We talked to Jim Knowles again. I don't want to get into everything that I'm going to talk about on Buckeyes tomorrow morning. Jim Knowles said that they have about 75% of the defense installed. You never really want to get to 100%, but he said some things that were interesting. He mentioned that he doesn't want to spring things on guys like on a game week. I mean, there are things that maybe you go over now and then you kind of go over later, but that maybe in the past you're able to do that and just okay, you're getting ready for Wisconsin and you're going to go more to a 4-3. Maybe then you just sit there and you're like, okay, well, these are the things they're going to do. But now, no, it sounds like he wants it to be a case of, during fall camp, during all this other instruction, we're going to kind of go over everything. And then, maybe we'll fine tune some things, but, we're not going to sit there and reinvent the wheel and just change something on you and just spring it upon you. But he also said, there are going to be some things that we're just going to hold back as well that, we don't want anybody to know that we have. And if you're not willing to necessarily do them in the game weeks, I mean, I guess that means that you could hold them for a bowl game or bowl games, plural. I mean, because at that point you have, a run of practices to get ready for the postseason. So, we'll kind of see there. Jim Knowles said that he feels that the defense is further along than he would have expected at this point, and he's very happy about it. You talk to these coaches and they never want to just sit there and come out and just say how thrilled they are because you're always fine tuning. You always want to get better. You always want to keep pushing. So you have to sit there and kind of keep an edge. But he talked about Lathan Ransom, somebody who got hurt during the Rose Bowl. He continues, he's just been so strong. It sounds like he talked a lot about Ronnie Hickman and how well Ronnie Hickman's been doing. It just really sounds like things are getting along. One other note that I kind of took was Jim Knowles, has the Leo position, but he's calling it the Jack position because the Leo is the king of the jungle and nobody's really earned it yet. Well, the position hasn't earned the name change yet. It's still the Jack position at this point. They're coming along, but they're not quite there yet. Now, maybe there is some motivation in terms of, for the defensive line, especially for that Leo position to keep pushing. You're not there. Nothing's given. Everything's earned. So, we'll see with that. But again, it's not what the position is. It's if you're making plays and what the defense looks like. But it sounds like everything according to plan right now is going on. We certainly have heard coming out of both scrimmages that the defense is playing fast, getting around there, wrecking things. So, that's good. I think that's good as long as the offense doesn't give anything up. Let this be a case of the defense taking rather than the offense giving. And I truly believe that to be the case. But, so we'll kind of see as we're going to come back probably Wednesday, late start today because, I was at OSU all day, had some meetings to go through. So I apologize for this evening drop, if you will, but it kind of is what it is. But I've said that the goal is to get to three editions a week as we try to build up our following. And speaking of building up our following, once again, be sure to follow us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Give us a look. I promise you'll like it. Great community, so much great content. Don't miss out. But until Wednesday, have a great night. We'll talk to you soon and have a great day.